Whisper my name before the full moon rises, said the werewolf. What his mate did changed everything. Chapter 1. The curse would kill him in 3 days. Ethan stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the Pacific, watching the sun sink into the ocean like it was drowning, and wondered if he'd miss sunsets when he was dead. The wind whipped his dark hair around his face, carrying the salt spray scent of the sea and the distant howls of his pack preparing for the hunt. 3 days until the full moon. 3 days until the curse his grandmother had placed on him 20 years ago finally claimed its price. 3 days to find the one thing that could save him. Someone who would whisper his true name before moonrise on the night he was supposed to die. The problem? His true name had been magically hidden even from himself. He didn't know what it was. No one did. And the woman who'd cursed him, his own grandmother, twisted by dark magic and grief, had made sure the conditions for breaking it were nearly impossible. Hey there, story lovers. Welcome back to another incredible journey here on the channel. I'm so thrilled you found your way here today. Seriously. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. Are you cozy at home? Listening during your commute? I absolutely love knowing where my amazing audience is tuning in from. And how are you all doing today? If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button because trust me, you don't want to miss what happens in this story. This channel is all about those intense, emotional, absolutely addictive tales that grab your heart and don't let go. And your support means everything to me. Ring that notification bell too, so you never miss a new story. Now let me tell you about Ethan because his time is running out, and the woman who can save him doesn't even know he exists yet. Ethan Cole had been alpha of the Crestwood pack for 5 years, ever since his father died in a territory dispute with a rival pack. At 28, he was young for an alpha, but he was strong, strategic, and fiercely protective of his 76 pack members. He'd led them through conflicts, through harsh winters, through the constant political maneuvering that came with controlling prime coastal territory in Northern California. He'd survived everything life had thrown at him, except this curse. Alpha. The voice behind him belonged to Nathan, his beta and closest friend since childhood. The pack's getting restless. They can sense something's wrong with you. I know. Ethan didn't turn around. I can feel their anxiety through the pack bonds. It's like static in my head. Then tell them the truth. Nathan moved to stand beside him, his own expression troubled. They deserve to know their alpha is dying. And cause mass panic? Destabilize the pack right when the Blackridge pack is pushing at our northern border. Ethan shook his head. No. I'll figure this out. How? You've consulted every witch, every shaman, every magical expert within 500 miles. They all say the same thing. The curse is unbreakable unless you meet its exact conditions. Nathan's voice was rough with frustration and fear. And those conditions are impossible, Ethan. How are you supposed to get someone to whisper your true name when you don't even know what it is? There has to be a way. There's always a way. But even as Ethan said it, doubt gnawed at him. The curse was elegant in its cruelty. His grandmother, Morgana, corrupted by dark magic after watching her mate die, had blamed Ethan's father for not preventing the death. When Ethan's father refused to step down as alpha in favor of Morgana's chosen successor, she'd cursed his entire bloodline. Ethan's father had died before the curse could claim him. His mother had fled, unable to watch her son face the same fate. And Ethan had spent 20 years knowing that on his 30th birthday, during the full moon, the curse would activate and kill him. Unless someone whispered his true name. The name Morgana had stolen from him when he was 8 years old, locking it away in a spell so complex that even killing her hadn't broken it. She died 10 years ago, taking the secret of Ethan's true name to her grave. The answer is out there, Ethan said quietly. I can feel it. Like something's pulling me, telling me to keep searching. That could just be the curse messing with your head, Nathan pointed out. Or it could be fate. Ethan finally turned to face his beta. I'm going into town tomorrow. There's a new bookshop that opened last week, specializes in rare occult texts. Maybe they'll have something the others missed. A bookshop. Nathan's skepticism was clear. You're betting your life on a bookshop? I'm betting my life on not giving up. Ethan's eyes flashed amber, the wolf rising close to the surface. I didn't survive this long by accepting defeat, Nathan. I'm not starting now. Nathan sighed but nodded. Then I'm coming with you. No. The pack needs you here. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. If something happens, Ethan continued firmly, the pack needs continuity of leadership. You're next in line. You need to be here visible, strong. Let them see you're ready if the worst occurs. The words hung heavy between them. Finally, Nathan bowed his head in submission, not just to his alpha, but to his friend. Don't make me become alpha, Ethan. I'm not ready. The pack isn't ready. Then I guess I better not die. Ethan managed a smile that didn't reach his eyes. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He stood in his cabin, a modest structure despite his status as alpha, because he'd never cared much for luxury, and stared at the research covering every wall. Spell books, ancient texts, newspaper clippings about curse breaking, printouts from obscure internet forums about true names and their magic. 20 years of searching, and he was no closer to an answer. His phone buzzed. A text from Leah, the Pax healer and resident witch. Dreamwalking tonight. Saw something. Come to my cottage. Ethan was out the door immediately. Leah's sight was rarely wrong. She had prophetic dreams, visions that had saved the pack more times than he could count. If she'd seen something relevant to his curse. Leah's cottage was on the eastern edge of pack territory, surrounded by herb gardens that glowed faintly with protective magic. She answered the door before he could knock, her silver-streaked auburn hair wild around her face, her eyes distant with the remnants of whatever she'd seen. Tell me, Ethan said without preamble. I saw a woman. Leah led him inside, where her scrying bowl still sat on the table, water rippling with residual magic. Young, maybe 25 or 26. Dark hair, green eyes. She was standing in a shop surrounded by books, and there was light pouring from her mouth. Not normal light, but something ancient and powerful. What does that mean? I think it means she has the gift of true names. Leah's expression was intense. It's incredibly rare, Ethan. Maybe 1 person in a million is born with the ability to see and speak true names. Most never realize they have the gift. Ethan's heart was pounding. Where is she? Did you see where? The shop had a name. I saw it on the window. Whispered words, books and curiosities. And it's local, Ethan. Right here in Crestwood Bay. The new bookshop. The one he'd planned to visit tomorrow anyway. Couldn't be coincidence. There's more, Leah said quietly. In my dream I heard a voice, your grandmother's voice. She said. He has 3 chances to make her speak his name. 3 chances before the moon claims him. But she must whisper it willingly, knowing what it means, or the curse will only grow stronger. 3 chances. Ethan's mind was already racing. So I can't just force her to say it. She has to understand, has to choose to help me. And if she says the wrong name or says it without true intention. Leah trailed off, but her meaning was clear. Each failed attempt would make the curse worse. Rush this, handle it wrong, and he could die even faster. Then I'll have to be very, very careful. Ethan looked at Leah. Did you see anything else? Anything about whether she'll help me? Leah's expression grew troubled. I saw 2 futures. In one she whispers your name and you live. In the other. She paused, struggling with what she'd seen. In the other you die, but she's standing over your body crying like her heart is breaking. Like she'd lost something precious. So either way she matters to me. The certainty settled into Ethan's bones. This woman, whoever she is, she's important. More than important. Leah met his eyes. Ethan, in both futures there was a mate bond between you. Gold as the sun, strong as steel. This woman isn't just someone who can save you. She's your mate. The word hit Ethan like a physical blow. Mate. The one person in all the world meant for him, the other half of his soul. He'd stopped believing he'd ever find her. The curse had made forming connections difficult, dangerous. Most wolves found their mates by their mid-20s. At 28, with death looming, he'd accepted he'd die alone. But now, I have to meet her, Ethan said. Tomorrow. First thing. Be careful, Leah warned. Mate bonds are powerful, but they're also complicated. She's human, Ethan, I could tell from the dream. She won't understand what she's feeling, won't know why she's drawn to you, and you can't just tell her everything at once. You'll scare her away. So what do I do? Court her. Let the bond develop naturally. Give her time to trust you before you ask her to save your life. Leah's smile was sad. Which is going to be nearly impossible since you have 3 days. Then I'll make 3 days enough. Ethan's jaw set with determination. I've faced down rival packs, hunted rogues, survived my grandmother's attempts to control me through fear and magic. I can win over one human woman. Can you? Leah asked gently. Because from what I saw, she's not just any human. She's strong-willed, independent, and deeply suspicious of anything supernatural. You're going to have to break through years of carefully constructed walls, Ethan. In 3 days. Then I better start tomorrow. As Ethan walked back to his cabin under a sky full of stars, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. Real tangible hope that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't going to die after all. The moon was waning, almost dark. In 3 days it would be full in his 30th birthday. 3 days to find her, to make her trust him, to get her to whisper a name she didn't know he needed. 3 days to fall in love and be loved in return. It should have been impossible. But looking up at the stars, feeling the pull of fate like a golden thread leading him toward tomorrow, Ethan let himself believe in impossible things. Because the alternative was accepting death, and he was done accepting anything fate tried to hand him without a fight. Tomorrow he would meet his mate. Tomorrow everything would change. And somewhere in Crestwood Bay, In a little bookshop full of whispered words and ancient secrets, a woman who didn't know she could save him was about to have her entire world turned upside down. The clock was ticking, but for the first time in 20 years, Ethan Cole believed he might actually win. Chapter 2, Character Foundation. Ava Chen had always heard voices. Not in the hearing voices means you're crazy way, though she'd certainly wondered about her sanity more than once. No, what Ava heard were names, true names, the kind that carried power and meaning beyond the ordinary labels people wore like masks. When she met someone, their real name would whisper itself to her, clear as a bell. Not always immediately, but eventually, usually within minutes of conversation. She'd hear Robert, but know his true name was Strength Through Adversity. She'd meet Jennifer and hear Lightbearer in Darkness. It had been confusing as a child, growing up in foster care, bouncing between homes where no one believed her when she tried to explain. They'd called it an overactive imagination, a coping mechanism, a phase she'd outgrow. She hadn't outgrown it. She'd learned to hide it. Now at 26, Ava had built a life around words and their power. Her bookshop, Whispered Words Books and Curiosities, specialized in rare texts, occult literature, and linguistic oddities. She'd opened it 6 months ago using an inheritance from a grandmother she'd barely known. The same grandmother who'd left her a letter explaining that the gift ran in the family. You hear true names, Ava, the letter had read. As did I, as did my mother before me. It's a gift and a burden. Use it wisely. The supernatural world will come looking for you eventually. When it does, trust your instincts. True names never lie. Ava had thought it was beautiful nonsense. Right up until the first werewolf walked into her shop. That had been 3 months ago. The woman Luna, she'd introduced herself, had been searching for a specific text about pack hierarchies. Ava had heard her true name immediately. Moonsinger who leads with mercy. And she'd known, without understanding how, that Luna wasn't entirely human. They'd become friends after that. Luna had been careful, never explicitly confirming what she was, but dropping enough hints that Ava had pieced it together. Werewolves were real. Magic was real. And Ava's gift was apparently more significant than she'd realized. Now, on a Tuesday morning that felt like any other, Ava was restocking shelves when the bell above her door chimed. The man who walked in took her breath away. Tall, easily 6'3", with dark hair that fell to his collar and eyes that shifted between brown and amber depending on how the light hit them. He moved with a predator's grace, controlled and purposeful. And there was something about him that made Ava's skin tingle with awareness. He was beautiful. Not pretty boy beautiful, but ruggedly, dangerously handsome in a way that made her heart race. Welcome to Whispered Words, Ava said, proud that her voice came out steady. Can I help you find something? Those amber brown eyes locked onto hers, and Ava felt the impact like a physical touch. I'm looking for books on curses. Specifically, MoonMagic and CurseBreaking. His voice was deep, rough around the edges and sent shivers down her spine. Ava forced herself to focus. MoonMagic is a pretty specific field. Are you looking for theoretical texts or practical applications? Practical. As practical as possible. He moved closer and Ava caught his scent. Pine and rain and something wild she couldn't identify. It's urgent. Ava studied him more carefully. He looked tired, she realized. Exhausted, actually, with shadows under those striking eyes and a tension in his shoulders that spoke of carrying heavy burdens. And there was something else, something she couldn't quite name, that felt like desperation barely held in check. I have a few things that might help. Follow me. She led him to the back of the shop, to a section she'd labeled Esoterica and Applied Magic. As they walked, she waited for his true name to whisper itself to her. Nothing came. That was new. And unsettling. In 6 months of meeting supernatural beings, she'd always heard their names eventually. But this man, whoever he was, remained silent to her gift. Here. She pulled out 3 books. This one's about curse identification and classification. This one covers various breaking methods, organized by curse type. And this one, she hefted a particularly old tome, is specifically about MoonMagic. It's rare, probably worth more than everything else in my shop combined, but it's also the most comprehensive text I've found on the subject. He took the book reverently, and Ava noticed his hands were shaking slightly. How much? For that one? I'd normally say not for sale. It's part of my research collection. But she studied his face, seeing genuine desperation there. You really need this, don't you? More than I can explain. His eyes met hers again, and Ava felt that strange pull intensify. Like she knew him, had always known him, despite meeting him 30 seconds ago. Please, name your price. Tell me your name first. The words slipped out before Ava could stop them. He froze. Why? Because I don't sell rare books to strangers. And because, she hesitated, then decided honesty was the best policy. Because you're the first person I've met whose true name I can't hear. His expression shifted through surprise to understanding to something that looked almost like hope. You can hear true names. It wasn't a question. He said it like a fact, like he'd already known somehow. Yes, Ava admitted, throwing caution to the wind. I hear what people really are beneath the names they give themselves. It's a gift. Or a curse. I haven't decided which. A gift, he said firmly. Definitely a gift. He extended his hand. Ethan Cole, Alpha of the Crestwood Pack. Ava shook his hand, and the moment their skin touched, electricity shot up her arm. Ethan's eyes widened, he'd felt it too. Neither of them pulled away immediately, both caught in the unexpected intensity of the connection. Ava Chen, she managed. Owner of this shop. Not a werewolf, in case you were wondering. I wasn't wondering. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, intentional or accidental, she couldn't tell. But I am wondering why you can't hear my true name. Can you hear anyone's? Or just supernatural beings? Everyone, Ava said. Human, supernatural, doesn't matter. I've never met someone whose name stayed silent. She pulled her hand back reluctantly. Until you. Ethan's expression grew complex, hope and fear warring on his features. That's because my true name was stolen from me. Magically hidden 20 years ago as part of a curse that's going to kill me in 3 days. Unless I can get someone to whisper that name before the full moon rises. The words hung in the air between them. Ava should have thought he was crazy. Should have called security or laughed it off as an elaborate joke. Instead, she heard herself say, "Tell me everything." They moved to the small seating area Ava had set up in the back of the shop. Comfortable chairs arranged around a low table where customers could browse books over coffee. She made tea while Ethan talked, and as he laid out his story, the grandmother twisted by dark magic, the curse placed on him as a child, the impossible conditions for breaking it. Ava felt pieces clicking into place. This was why her grandmother had left her the shop. Why the gift of true names had always felt like preparation for something important. This moment, this man, was what she'd been waiting for without knowing it. So you need someone to whisper your true name, Ava said slowly. But you don't know what it is. And I can't hear it, which means it really is hidden, not just from you but from the gift itself. That's the essence of it, yes. Ethan's hands wrapped around his tea mug like he needed the warmth. I've spent 20 years searching for a way to break this curse. I've consulted every magical expert I could find. Most said it was impossible. But you don't believe that. I can't afford to believe that. I'm not just fighting for myself, Ava. I'm an alpha. If I die, my pack faces a succession crisis. We have enemies who'd love nothing more than to exploit that chaos. His eyes held hers. 76 lives depend on me figuring this out. Ava felt the weight of that responsibility, saw how it pressed on his shoulders. Your beta can't take over? Nathan's good, but he's not ready. And he doesn't have the raw power needed to hold pack loyalty during a transition. Challengers would come from outside, from inside. Ethan shook his head. It would be a bloodbath. Then we need to break this curse. The words came out with more confidence than Ava felt. Those 3 books, start with the name magic one. I'll help you research. Maybe between your knowledge of the curse and my gift, we can find something your grandmother missed. Ethan stared at her. You do that? Help a stranger fight a curse. You're not really a stranger though, are you? Ava said softly. I feel like I know you somehow. Like I've been waiting to meet you. She laughed shakily. That sounds insane. No. Ethan's voice was rough with emotion. It sounds like a mate bond. A what? Mate bond. It's a werewolf thing. A connection between souls that transcends logic or time. When you meet your mate, you know. Instantly, completely, without question. He leaned forward, his intensity almost overwhelming. I had our pack seer dreamwalk last night. She saw you, Ava. Saw you in my future. Saw a mate bond between us strong enough to break curses and remake fate. Ava's heart was hammering. But I'm human. So? Mate bonds don't care about species. They care about souls. Ethan's hand reached across the table, palm up, offering. I know this is a lot. I know I'm essentially telling you that fate decided we belong together. And also, by the way, can you please save my life in the next 3 days? It's insane and unfair, and you have every right to tell me to leave. But, Ava prompted, not taking his hand yet but not dismissing it either. But I'm asking anyway. Because my seer saw 2 futures, one where you save me and one where I die. And in both futures, you were crying like your heart had been ripped out. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. In both futures you cared about me, Ava. The bond exists whether we acknowledge it or not. Ava looked at his outstretched hand, at the hope and desperation in his eyes, at this stranger who felt like home. She thought about her grandmother's letter. About the gift she'd spent her whole life not understanding. About the feeling she'd had, ever since opening this shop, that she was waiting for something important. Someone important. Okay, she heard herself say. I'll help you. But I need you to understand. I don't know if I can do this. I've never deliberately used my gift to break a curse. I'm not even sure how it works beyond just hearing things. We'll figure it out together. Ethan's smile was like sunrise, brilliant and warm and full of relief. Thank you, Ava. You have no idea what this means. I think I do, actually. She finally took his hand, and that electric connection flared again, stronger this time. So where do we start? They spent the rest of the morning going through the books Ava had pulled, cross-referencing curse types and breaking methods. Ethan explained what little he remembered about the ritual his grandmother had performed. He'd been terrified, watching her speak words in languages he didn't understand while drawing symbols in ash and blood. She used my blood, he said quietly, cut my palm and used it to seal the spell. And she said, what was it? He closed his eyes, reaching back through 20 years of memory. She said, your name is mine now, hidden in a place where even you cannot find it. Only one who hears the whispers of truth may speak it, and they must do so willing, knowing, pure of heart before the moon claims you at 30 years. Willing, knowing, pure of heart, Ava repeated. So whoever says your name has to want to help you, has to understand what they're doing and has to. She paused. What does pure of heart mean in this context? I don't know. Maybe it means good intentions? Or genuine caring? Ethan looked frustrated. Curse language is deliberately vague. It gives them wiggle room. Or it means love, Ava said softly. In a lot of old magic, pure of heart is code for acting from love. Their eyes met across the table, and the air between them seemed to thicken with possibility. So you'd have to care about me, Ethan said slowly. Really care. In 3 days. Which is impossible, Ava pointed out. You can't force love. You can't rush it. Unless the mate bond does some of the work for us. Ethan's expression was complicated. I'm not asking you to fall in love with me, Ava. That would be manipulative and wrong. But if we let the bond develop naturally, if we spend the next 3 days getting to know each other, maybe it'll be enough. And if it's not? Then I die knowing I met my mate, even if only for a few days. That's more than I thought I'd get. His smile was sad and somehow beautiful. I'd rather have 3 days with you than 30 years with anyone else. The words shouldn't have affected her so deeply. They'd known each other for less than 2 hours. But Ava felt them resonate in her chest, felt the truth of them echo through that strange connection she couldn't explain. 3 days, she said. We have 3 days to break a curse, develop a bond, and save your life. And your bookshop will need to close during that time, Ethan added. Because you'll need to come to Pact Territory, meet the seer who can guide us, work with our researchers who've been studying this curse for years. You want me to go to a werewolf compound? Ava's eyes widened. With 76 wolves I don't know? 76 wolves who will welcome you as my mate and protect you with their lives. Ethan corrected gently. You'll be safer there than anywhere else in the world, Ava. I promise. She should have said no. Should have told him this was too fast, too strange, too much. Instead, she found herself nodding. Okay, let me close up shop, pack a bag. When do we leave? Tonight. Ethan's relief was palpable. The full moon is in 3 nights, and we need every moment we can get. As Ava moved around the shop, locking doors and turning off lights while Ethan gathered the books they'd selected, she felt like she was stepping off a cliff into unknown waters. 3 days ago, her biggest concern had been quarterly taxes and whether to expand the shop's hours. Now she was apparently destined to save a werewolf alpha's life by speaking a name she couldn't hear, powered by a mate bond she didn't fully understand, with a 3-day deadline and the fate of an entire pack hanging in the balance. It was insane. It was impossible. And looking at Ethan, at the hope in his eyes, at the way he watched her like she was something precious, Ava realized she was going to try anyway, because if there was even a chance she could save him, she had to take it. Even if it meant risking her heart in the process. Chapter 3. The Inciting Incident. The drive to Pact Territory took 2 hours, winding through forests that grew progressively denser, until they turned off onto a private road that wasn't marked on any map. Ethan had been quiet for most of the journey, and Ava could feel tension radiating from him, not directed at her, but at the situation, at the ticking clock that neither of them could stop. Tell me about your pack, Ava said, breaking the silence. What should I expect? Ethan glanced at her, his expression softening slightly. They're good people. Protective, loyal, maybe a bit suspicious of outsiders at first, but that's survival instinct. We've had problems with hunters in the past, with rival packs. Trust doesn't come easy. But they'll trust me because you do. They'll trust you because you're my mate. The bond will be obvious to them. Wolves can sense these things. You'll have instant status, instant protection. He paused. Which also means instant scrutiny. Some will wonder if you're good enough for their alpha. Others will worry you'll distract me from pack duties. And a few, he smiled wryly, will start planning the mating ceremony before we've even broken the curse. Mating ceremony? Ava's voice went up an octave. It's like a wedding, but with more howling and less cake. Ethan's smile widened at her expression. I'm kidding. Mostly. But yes, when wolves find their mates, there's usually a ceremony to formalize the bond. Don't worry, we're not there yet. First, let's focus on keeping me alive. They pulled through a gate that opened automatically, and Ava got her first view of pack territory. It wasn't what she'd expected. No compound walls or guard towers. Instead, it looked like a small village, with houses scattered through the forest, connected by winding paths. In the center was a larger building that looked part lodge, part community center. Welcome to Crestwood, Ethan said. Home to the Crestwood pack for the last 150 years. As they parked and got out, Ava felt eyes on her. Wolves, some in human form, some as actual wolves, watched from porches and pathways, their attention focused with unnerving intensity. Ignore them, Ethan said quietly, taking her bag from the trunk. They're just curious. We don't get many human visitors, and never one marked as the alpha's mate. How can they tell I'm your mate? We barely know each other. The bond still exists, even if it's new. They can scent it on both of us. It changes our individual sense, marks us as connected. He looked at her, his expression serious. Is this too much? I can take you back if you're uncomfortable. Ava looked around at the wolves watching them, at the forest pressing close, at Ethan standing beside her like a bulwark against anything that might threaten her. She felt out of her depth, overwhelmed and slightly terrified. But she also felt right. Like despite the strangeness of everything, this was exactly where she was supposed to be. No, she said firmly. I'm staying. Let's break this curse. Relief flooded Ethan's features. He placed a hand on her lower back. A possessive, protective gesture that probably should have annoyed her but instead made her feel safe, and guided her toward the central lodge. Inside was warm and welcoming, with exposed beam ceilings and comfortable furniture arranged in conversational groups. A massive fireplace dominated one wall, and Ava could see doorways leading to what looked like a kitchen, offices, and meeting rooms. A man approached them, tall with sandy hair and sharp blue eyes that assessed Ava with frank curiosity. So this is her. The human who can hear true names. Nathan, this is Ava Chen. Ava my beta, Nathan Rivers. Ethan's hand stayed on Ava's back. Be nice. I'm always nice, Nathan protested, though his smile suggested otherwise. He extended a hand to Ava. Welcome to Crestwood. Any luck with the research? Ava shook his hand and immediately heard his true name. Loyal heart who stands between danger and pack. Some, Ethan answered. But we need to talk to Leah. Is she here? In the ritual room. She's been preparing since you called. Nathan's expression grew serious. Ethan, the pack's getting restless. Word spreading that something's wrong with you. How much longer can we keep this quiet? As long as necessary. I don't want panic. Alpha. A new voice interrupted. A woman with silver-streaked auburn hair and eyes that seemed to see too much. You're back. Good. And you brought her. Leah, this is Ava. Ava, our pack seer and healer, Leah Morrison. Leah's true name whispered to Ava. She who sees what is and what might be. The seer studied Ava with unnerving intensity, then smiled. Oh yes. The bond is there, strong as I saw in my vision. Good. That gives us a chance. She gestured for them to follow. Come. We have much to discuss and little time to do it. They followed Leah to a room at the back of the lodge. It was circular, with symbols carved into the wooden floor and walls lined with shelves holding crystals, herbs, and various magical implements. In the center was a low table surrounded by cushions. Sit, Leah instructed, settling herself on one of the cushions. Now Ava, Ethan has told you about the curse? The basics, Ava confirmed, sitting across from the seer while Ethan settled beside her. His true name was stolen and hidden. Someone has to whisper it before the full moon rises on his 30th birthday. That's in 3 days. The person has to be willing, knowing, and pure of heart. Correct. What Ethan may not have mentioned is that you get 3 attempts. Leah's expression was grave. 3 chances to speak his true name. If you fail all 3, the curse will activate immediately, regardless of whether the full moon has risen. And each failed attempt will make Ethan weaker, bring him closer to death. Ava's stomach dropped. So we can't just guess. We need to be certain. Exactly. Which is where your gift becomes crucial. Leah leaned forward. Tell me, Ava. How does your gift work? When you hear someone's true name, what does it feel like? Ava considered the question. It's like, I meet someone and there's a moment where I perceive them fully, not just how they look or act but who they are at their core. And in that moment their true name becomes obvious. It's not spoken aloud, but I hear it clearly in my mind. Like it's being whispered directly to my soul. And with Ethan? Nothing. Complete silence. Like that part of him doesn't exist. Ava looked at Ethan. No offense. None taken. My name was literally ripped out of me and hidden away. It makes sense you can't hear it. His hand found hers, fingers lacing together. The question is, how do we make you able to hear it? We reconstruct it, Leah said. Or rather, we unravel the hiding spell enough that Ava's gift can penetrate it. I've been researching Morgana's spell work. She was my mentor once, before the dark magic corrupted her. I know her patterns, her preferred magical structures. The seer pulled out a leather-bound journal filled with notes and diagrams. The spell hiding Ethan's true name is layered. Think of it like a locked box inside another locked box inside another locked box. We need to open each layer before Ava can access the name itself. How do we open the layers? Ava asked. Through connection. Through understanding. Through the mate bond. Leah's eyes moved between them. The first layer requires physical closeness, skin contact sustained over time. The second requires emotional vulnerability. Ethan must share his deepest fears, his greatest hopes, his true self with you, Ava. And the third? She paused. The third requires love. Genuine, freely given, pure of heart. Silence filled the room. So we have 3 days, Ethan said slowly, to build enough of a connection that Ava loves me. And I'm guessing each layer has to be completed before we can move to the next. Correct. And each layer will take time to open. Minimum 8 hours for the first, 12 for the second, 24 for the third. Leah's expression was sympathetic. It's asking the impossible, I know. But the curse was designed to be impossible. Morgana wanted you to die, Ethan. She made sure the conditions for survival were nearly unachievable. Nearly, Ava said firmly. Not completely. She looked at Ethan. So we start now. Layer 1, physical closeness. What does that mean exactly? Sustained skin contact, Leah explained. Holding hands, sitting close, sleeping next to each other. The mate bond strengthens through physical proximity. And that strengthening will begin to erode the first layer of the hiding spell. So basically, we need to be touching for the next 8 hours? Ava felt her cheeks heat at the implications. Not constantly but frequently. The more contact, the faster the layer weakens. Leah stood. I'll prepare a space for you too. You'll need privacy, comfort, and time. Nathan, make sure they're not disturbed. After Leah and Nathan left, Ava and Ethan sat in awkward silence. This is weird, right? Ava finally said. I mean, we met 6 hours ago, and now we're supposed to spend the next 3 days in enforced intimacy to save your life. It's definitely not how I imagined meeting my mate, Ethan admitted. He turned to face her fully, his expression serious. Ava, I need you to know. I'm not taking this for granted. I know what I'm asking of you is enormous. 3 days isn't enough time to build real trust, real connection. The mate bond might make you feel things you wouldn't normally feel, and that's not fair to you. But it's necessary, Ava finished. It might be. Ethan's thumb traced patterns on her palm. Had they been holding hands this whole time? If you want to back out, if this is too much. Stop, Ava interrupted. Stop giving me outs. I said I'd help you and I meant it. Yes, this is fast and strange and slightly terrifying. But you know what? I've spent 26 years feeling like I didn't quite fit anywhere. Like I was waiting for something I couldn't name. And then you walked into my shop, and for the first time in my life, something clicked into place. She squeezed his hand. So maybe the mate bond is influencing what I feel. Or maybe I'm just a person who's attracted to mysterious werewolves with death curses. Either way, I'm staying. We're doing this. And we're going to break this curse because the alternative is unacceptable. Ethan's eyes had gone bright amber. You're extraordinary. You know that. I'm terrified. But I'm also stubborn. Ava managed to smile. So let's start layer 1. 8 hours of physical closeness. How hard can it be? The answer, it turned out, was harder than expected. Leah set them up in a private cabin on the edge of packed territory. Small but comfortable, with a main room, a bathroom, and a bedroom with an enormous bed that Ava tried very hard not to think about. She'd brought food, books, and various supplies they might need. The timer starts now, Leah said, placing a glowing crystal on the table. This will track your progress. When it turns from red to green, the first layer will be open. Remember, frequent physical contact. The bond needs to strengthen, and it does that through touch. After she left, Ava and Ethan stood awkwardly in the middle of the cabin. So, Ethan said, we should probably sit down? Get comfortable. They settled on the couch, close but not quite touching. Then, feeling ridiculous, Ava scooted closer and took Ethan's hand. His fingers wrapped around hers immediately, warm and strong. Tell me about your pack, Ava said, needing to break the silence. What's it like being alpha? And Ethan talked. He told her about inheriting the position at 23, about the learning curve, the mistakes he'd made, the successes that had kept the pack safe and thriving. He talked about Nathan's loyalty, about Leah's guidance, About the children in the pack who looked at him like he hung the moon. They're my responsibility, he said quietly. Every single one of them. Their safety, their happiness, their future. It all rests on me. It's terrifying and humbling and the most important thing I've ever done. You love them, Ava observed. They're my family. More than blood, more than anything. Pack is everything. He looked at her. You'll understand once you're really part of it. The bonds between pack members. It's like having 76 people who die for you without question. And who you die for just as readily. Ava leaned against his shoulder, and Ethan's arm came around her automatically. This was nice, she thought. Easy despite the circumstances. Tell me about the bookshop, Ethan said. Why rare books? Why that specialty? So Ava talked about growing up surrounded by words. About how books had been her escape in foster homes where she never quite belonged. About discovering her gift and learning to hide it. About finding her grandmother's letter and inheriting the money that made the shop possible. It was supposed to be my safe place, she said. Somewhere I controlled, where I set the rules. Ironic that it led me straight into a supernatural crisis. Or fate, Ethan suggested. Leah always says there are no coincidences when it comes to mate bonds. Maybe you were supposed to open that shop in that town at that exact time. Just so I'd find you. You don't think that's a little too convenient? A little too destined? I think, Ethan said slowly, that destiny gets a bad rap. People think it means you don't have choices, that everything's predetermined. But maybe destiny is just possibility. The universe putting the right people in the right place at the right time, and then letting them choose what to do about it. Ava tilted her head to look up at him. And what are we choosing? To try. To fight. To believe in impossible things because the alternative is giving up. His eyes were intense, the amber more prominent now. I'm choosing to believe you walked into my life for a reason, Ava. That we have a chance. They talked for hours, their bodies gradually relaxing into each other. Ava found herself tracing patterns on Ethan's palm, and he played with strands of her hair. Their conversation flowing from serious topics to lighter ones. Favorite books, worst movies, childhood memories, dreams for the future. If you survive this, Ava asked as evening fell outside, what do you want to do? What's the first thing? Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Run, he finally said. Just shift and run through the forest with no destination. No timeline. No death sentence hanging over my head. Just run for the joy of it. And after that? Take you to dinner. A proper date without curses or ticking clocks. Let me court you the way you deserve, without desperation driving every moment. His hand cupped her face gently. Get to know you slowly, learn your quirks and your secrets, fall in love with you one day at a time instead of being forced into it by circumstance. Ava's breath caught. You want that? Even with the mate bond pushing us together. Especially with the mate bond. Because yes, it makes us compatible, makes us feel drawn to each other. But compatibility isn't the same as love. Love is built through time and trust and choosing each other repeatedly. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. I want to build that with you, Ava. If we survive this. When we survive this, Ava corrected. You're not allowed to die, remember? I forbid it. Ethan's laugh was soft. Yes, ma'am. As night deepened, they moved to the bed. Not to sleep, just to be more comfortable. They lay facing each other, hands clasped between them, continuing to talk even as exhaustion began to pull at them both. Can I ask you something? Ava said as her eyes grew heavy. About the curse. Did your grandmother? Did she ever love you? Before the dark magic? Ethan's expression grew distant. I think she did, in her way. She wasn't affectionate, but she was there. She taught me how to track, how to read the forest, how to be patient. And then my grandfather died, and something in her broke. The dark magic didn't just corrupt her. It consumed her. By the time she cursed me, there was nothing left of the grandmother I'd known. I'm sorry, Ava whispered. Don't be. She made her choices. I just wish. He trailed off. What? I wish I could have saved her. Pulled her back from the darkness before it was too late. His eyes were sad. But some people can't be saved. They have to save themselves, and she didn't want to. Ava squeezed his hand. You're not her, Ethan. You have people who love you, who'd fight for you. You have a pack, a community, a purpose beyond revenge or darkness. You're nothing like what she became. I hope you're right. They fell silent, and Ava felt herself drifting. The last thing she was aware of was Ethan pulling a blanket over them both, his arms coming around her, his warmth solid and safe against her. And as she slipped into sleep, she could have sworn she heard something, faint, distant, like a whisper at the edge of consciousness. A name just out of reach trying to break through. The first layer was beginning to open. Chapter 4: Rising Tension. Ava woke to sunlight streaming through the cabin windows and Ethan's arms still around her. For a disoriented moment, she couldn't remember where she was or why she was tangled up with a man she'd met yesterday. Then it all came rushing back. Curses. True names. Mate bonds. The impossible task of saving an alpha's life in 3 days. She tilted her head to find Ethan awake, watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Morning, he said softly. How do you sleep? Better than I expected, Ava admitted. How long have you been awake? A while. I didn't want to move and wake you. His hand traced lazy patterns on her back, and Ava realized she'd somehow ended up half-draped across his chest during the night. The crystal turned green about an hour ago. First layer is open. Ava propped herself up to look at the glowing crystal on the nightstand. Sure enough, it had shifted from red to green, pulsing gently. So what now? Layer 2. Emotional vulnerability. She felt her stomach knot with anxiety. That's the one where you have to share your deepest fears and hopes? And it takes 12 hours minimum. Ethan sat up, running a hand through his sleep-mussed hair. Which means we have roughly 36 hours left to complete both remaining layers before the full moon rises. The weight of that settled over them both. A knock at the door made them both jump. Leah entered without waiting for an answer, carrying a tray with breakfast. Good, you're both awake. The first layer opened cleanly. I felt the shift in the spell structure. Well done. She set the tray down and pulled out a different crystal. This one blue instead of red. This tracks layer 2. Same principle. It'll turn green when the layer opens. But this one requires more than just physical proximity. Ethan, you need to bare your soul to her. Every fear, every insecurity, every dark thought you've ever hidden from the world. And Ava, she turned to her. You need to do the same. True vulnerability goes both ways. That seems intense, Ava said weakly. Breaking a death curse is intense, Leah replied without sympathy. You want to save him? This is how. Strip away every defense, every mask, every protective wall you've both built. Let each other see the parts of yourselves you normally hide. That's what opens the second layer. After Leah left, Ava and Ethan ate breakfast in uncomfortable silence. So, Ava finally said, deepest fears. You want to go first or should I? Ethan set down his coffee mug. I'll start. Seems only fair since it's my curse we're breaking. He took a breath. My deepest fear is that I'll die and the pack will fall apart. That everything I've built, everyone I've protected, it'll all crumble because I wasn't strong enough to break this curse. That's not your deepest fear, Ava said quietly. She didn't know how she knew, but she did. That's your alpha fear. What about your personal fear? The thing that terrifies Ethan, not Alpha Cole. Ethan's jaw clenched. You don't pull punches, do you? We don't have time for me to pull punches. 2 days, Ethan. Talk to me. He stood and paced to the window, his back to her. When he spoke, his voice was raw. I'm terrified that I'm exactly what my grandmother said I was. Broken. Cursed. Fundamentally wrong somehow, and that's why I've never found someone who... He stopped, fists clenching. I'm 28 years old. Most wolves find their mates by 25. I'd convinced myself I didn't have one, that the curse had somehow prevented it, made me incomplete. He turned to face her. And then you walked into my life, and suddenly there's this bond, this connection that's supposed to be destiny. But what if it's just the curse again? What if the only reason you feel anything for me is because fate's forcing you to care enough to save me? What if once the curse is broken, you realize you don't actually want me? The vulnerability in his voice broke Ava's heart. She crossed to him, taking his hands. Ethan. No, let me finish. His eyes were haunted. I'm terrified that I'm going to fall completely in love with you, that I already am falling, and then you're going to walk away. Why would you stay? I'm a werewolf with enemies and responsibilities, and a pack that will always come first. I'm asking you to give up your quiet human life for chaos and danger and me. Why would you choose that? Because, Ava said firmly, sometimes chaos and danger and you are exactly what someone's looking for. My turn. She pulled him to sit back down on the bed, keeping hold of his hands. My deepest fear is that I'm not enough. Never have been, never will be. I bounced through 12 foster homes growing up, Ethan. 12 families who looked at me and decided I wasn't worth keeping. And I told myself it didn't matter, that I didn't need them, that I was fine alone. Her voice cracked. But I wasn't fine. I was lonely and scared and convinced there was something fundamentally wrong with me. Why else would no one want me? And then I developed this gift, hearing true names, and it just confirmed what I already believed. I could see who everyone really was, could hear their core identities. But mine? I've never heard my own true name, Ethan. I don't know who I really am. Ava. And now there's you telling me I'm your mate, that we're destined. But what if you're wrong? What if I'm not enough to save you? Not strong enough or powerful enough or good enough? What if you die because I failed? Tears were streaming down her face now. I can't lose someone else. I can't be the reason someone leaves again, even if they're leaving through death. I can't. Ethan pulled her into his arms and Ava broke, sobbing against his chest all the fear and loneliness and inadequacy she'd carried for 26 years. "You are enough," he murmured into her hair. "More than enough. You're brave and brilliant and so goddamn strong it takes my breath away. Those foster families? They were blind and stupid to not see your worth. But I see it, Ava. I see you." They held each other for a long time. Two broken people sharing their wounds, letting each other in past the defenses they normally kept locked tight. "I have more," Ava finally said, pulling back to wipe her eyes. "More fears, more dark thoughts." "So do I. We have 12 hours. Ethan's smile was tender. "Let's use them." And they did. As morning shifted to afternoon and afternoon to evening, they talked. Really talked in ways neither had with anyone else. Ethan confessed his fear of failure, his guilt over pack members who'd been hurt under his watch, his occasional resentment of the alpha burden. Ava admitted her fear of intimacy, her tendency to push people away before they could leave her, her deep-seated belief that she was somehow damaged. "I've never been in a relationship longer than 3 months," she said as they sat on the porch watching the sun set. "I always find reasons to end it. They're not right or the timing's off or I'm too busy. But really I'm just scared. Scared they'll see the real me and decide I'm not worth the effort." "You're worth every effort," Ethan said. "And for what it's worth, I've never had a relationship at all. The curse made it seem pointless. Why start something with someone when I knew I'd die at 30? It seemed cruel to them, asking them to care about someone with an expiration date. But you're not expiring. We're breaking this curse. Are we?" Ethan's expression was troubled. "Ava, I need you to prepare for the possibility that we don't. That even with your gift and the mate bond and Leah's guidance we might fail." "Don't," Ava said fiercely. "Don't start planning for failure. We're going to do this. But if we don't, then I'll spend whatever time we have left making sure you know you mattered, that your life meant something, that you were loved." The words slipped out before Ava could stop them. Ethan went very still. "Loved?" Ava felt heat rush to her face. "I mean, it's the mate bond, obviously, making me feel things faster than normal. But yes, I care about you, Ethan. A lot. More than I should after less than 2 days." "There's no should with feelings," Ethan said softly. He cupped her face, his touch gentle. "And if it helps, I care about you too. More than is probably wise or logical. You've become important to me, Ava. Essential even." They were leaning closer, drawn together by more than just the mate bond, by genuine connection, by shared vulnerability, by the intimacy of really seeing each other. When Ethan kissed her, it was tender and careful, a question more than a demand. Ava answered by wrapping her arms around his neck and pulling him closer, deepening the kiss until they were both breathless. "Wow," Ava said when they finally parted. "That was..." "Yeah," Ethan agreed, his voice rough. "Definitely yeah." They went back inside as full dark fell, building a fire against the evening chill. The blue crystal on the table was beginning to glow brighter, responding to their emotional openness. "Tell me your hopes," Ava said as they settled on the couch. "Not alpha hopes. Your hopes. What does Ethan want from life?" Ethan was quiet for a long moment. "I want peace," he finally said. "Not just survival or success, but actual peace. The kind where you wake up and don't immediately start running through all the things that could go wrong. Where you can just be." "That sounds nice," Ava said wistfully. "What about you? What do you hope for?" "Belonging," Ava admitted. "I want to find my place, my people. Somewhere I fit without having to pretend or hide parts of myself." She looked at him. "And maybe that's here. With you, with the pack. It's too soon to know for sure, but it feels possible." "It is possible," Ethan assured her. "The pack already accepts you as mine. Give them time to know you as Ava, and they'll love you for yourself, not just because of our bond." They talked late into the night, sharing hopes and dreams and the small details that made up a life. Favorite memories, embarrassing moments, the things that made them laugh or cry. Building a foundation of real knowledge, real connection, beneath the supernatural bond that had brought them together. Around midnight, the blue crystal pulsed once brightly and turned green. "Layer 2, Ava breathed. "We did it. One more to go." Ethan's expression was complex, relieved, hopeful, terrified. 24 hours for layer 3. The one that requires love. "We have 36 hours until the full moon," Ava calculated. "That gives us 12 hours of buffer. If we complete layer 3 in exactly 24 hours, if there are no complications, if we can somehow develop the depth of love needed to satisfy the curse conditions." Ethan ran a hand over his face. "This is the impossible part, Ava. Layer 3 has broken every curse-breaking attempt before it, because you can't force love. You can't rush it. It develops in its own time or not at all. Then we better make the most of our 24 hours, Ava said with more confidence than she felt. Leah appeared at dawn. She seemed to have a sixth sense for when layers opened. carrying a red crystal that made Ava's stomach sink just looking at it. Layer 3, the seer said, placing it on the table. This is the hardest part. The love has to be real, freely given, pure of heart. And both of you have to feel it. One person loving alone won't open the layer. How do we know if we're there? Ava asked. How do we know if what we feel is enough? You'll know. The crystal will pulse with your combined heartbeats, and you'll feel the spell layer crack. It's unmistakable. Leah's expression was sympathetic. I wish I could give you more guidance, but love is different for everyone. There's no formula, no shortcut. You just have to let it happen. After she left, Ethan and Ava looked at each other. So, Ethan said, we have 24 hours to fall completely in love. No pressure, Ava added weakly. Right. No pressure at all. They both burst out laughing at the absurdity of it, and somehow that broke the tension. If they were going to do this, really do this, they needed to stop treating it like a task to be completed and start treating it like what it actually was. A chance to be together. Come on, Ethan said, standing and offering his hand. Let's get out of this cabin. I want to show you the territory. Chapter 5, The Midpoint Revelation. Ethan led Ava through the Packlands, showing her the places that mattered to him. The training grounds where he'd learned to fight, the stream where he'd spent hours as a child catching fish, the overlook where he came when he needed to think. This is where I made the decision to accept the alpha position, he said as they stood at the cliff's edge, looking out over the forest. I was 23, terrified, convinced I'd fail. But I looked out at all this, at the territory, at the responsibility, and I realized I couldn't walk away. These people, this land, it was mine to protect. And I wanted to. Despite the fear, despite knowing the curse was waiting for me, I wanted to lead them. Do you ever regret it? Ava asked. No, never. Even with everything it's cost me, every hard choice and sleepless night, I'd do it again. He looked at her. Does that make me crazy? No. It makes you a good alpha. Ava slipped her hand into his. They're lucky to have you. They walked further, and Ethan introduced her to pack members they encountered. An elderly couple who'd known Ethan since birth and looked at him with obvious affection. A young mother with 2 small children who shyly offered Ava flowers. A group of teenagers who were clearly trying to impress their alphas mate with overly formal politeness that made both Ethan and Ava struggle not to laugh. They're good people, Ava said as they continued on. Your pack. I can see why you love them. They're family, Ethan replied simply. The family I chose and who chose me back. They stopped for lunch at a small waterfall, sitting on sun-warmed rocks while they ate sandwiches Nathan had packed for them. The setting was beautiful, water cascading into a clear pool, surrounded by ancient trees that filtered the sunlight into dancing patterns. I could live here, Ava said half to herself, in a place like this. I always thought I was a city person, but this feels like home. Ethan suggested. Maybe. Or like it could be home given time. She looked at him. Is that the mate bond talking? Making me want what you want? I don't know. Does it matter? Ethan's expression was serious. Whether it's the bond or genuine preference, the result is the same. You'd be happy here. But I want to know if it's real, Ava insisted. I want to know that my feelings are mine, not something fate forced on me. Ethan set down his sandwich. Okay, let me ask you something. Before you met me, before you knew about mate bonds or curses, what did you want from life? What was your dream? Ava thought about it. I wanted connection, community, to not feel like an outsider looking in. I wanted people who knew me, really knew me, the gift included, and accepted me anyway. She paused. I wanted to matter to someone. And now I have the chance at all of that. With you, with the pack. But it happened so fast, Ethan. How do I know it's real and not just the bond manipulating what I feel? Because the bond doesn't create feelings out of nothing, came Leah's voice from behind them. They both jumped. The seer emerged from the trees, looking amused at their reactions. Sorry to interrupt, but I heard your question, Ava, and I couldn't let you continue down that path of doubt. Leah settled onto a rock near them. The mate bond doesn't brainwash you. It doesn't make you feel things that aren't already there, latent in your heart. What it does is accelerate the timeline, bring to the surface in days what might have taken months or years to develop naturally. So what I feel is real? Ava asked. As real as any feeling ever is. The bond is acting like a catalyst, yes. But catalysts don't create chemical reactions. They just speed up reactions that were already possible. Leah smiled gently. You would have fallen for Ethan eventually, bond or no bond. Your souls are compatible in ways that have nothing to do with magic. The bond just fast-forwarded the process. How can you be sure? Ethan asked. Because I can see the bond, Leah replied. And I've been watching it develop over the past 2 days. If it were forced, artificial, the bond would look different, strained maybe, or unnaturally bright. But yours is growing organically, strengthening in the normal pattern. You two are falling in love the old-fashioned way. You're just doing it on an accelerated schedule. After Leah left, the woman seemed to materialize and vanish at will. Ava and Ethan sat in thoughtful silence. So it's real, Ava finally said. What I feel for you, what you feel for me, it's genuine. Seems like it. Ethan's voice was soft. How does that make you feel? Terrified, Ava admitted. Because if it's real, then I can really lose you. If we fail to break the curse, if something goes wrong, I won't just be losing a stranger I met 3 days ago. I'll be losing someone I love. The word hung in the air between them. Do you? Ethan asked quietly. Love me? Ava looked at him, really looked at him. At the hope and fear warring in his eyes, at the vulnerability in his expression, at the way he held himself still like he was afraid to breathe in case it broke the moment. I think I'm getting there, she said honestly. I care about you so much it scares me. When I think about the full moon, about you dying, my chest physically hurts. And when you smile at me or touch me or share something personal, I feel like I could float away from happiness. Is that love? Ethan asked. I don't know. I've never been in love before. Ava managed a shaky smile. But if this isn't it, I can't imagine what is. Ethan closed the distance between them, gathering her into his arms. I'm falling in love with you, Ava Chen. Fast and hard and completely. And whether we have 3 days or 3 centuries, I'm grateful for every moment. They stayed at the waterfall for hours, talking and kissing and simply being together. The urgency of the ticking clock faded into background noise as they existed in the present moment, learning each other through touch and conversation and comfortable silence. As afternoon shifted toward evening, they made their way back toward the central lodge. But before they reached it, Nathan intercepted them, his expression grim. Ethan, we have a problem. The Blackridge pack. They've moved their warriors to our northern border. It looks like they're preparing for an incursion. Ethan's entire demeanor shifted. The relaxed man Ava had been with all day replaced by the alpha. How many? At least 40. Maybe more. Nathan's jaw was tight. They know something's wrong with you. They're testing our defenses, seeing if we're vulnerable. We're not vulnerable, Ethan said firmly. Mobilize our border patrol. I want double guards on all access points. And get a message to the Blackridge Alpha. Any incursion will be met with full force. We're not backing down. Ethan, Nathan said carefully, you're not at full strength. The curse is weakening you, I can see it, we can all see it. If it comes to a fight, then I'll fight anyway. Ethan's eyes flashed amber. I'm still alpha of this pack, and I will not let them sense weakness. Go. Get our warriors in position. After Nathan left, Ethan turned to Ava, frustration clear on his face. I'm sorry. I need to deal with this. I understand. Your pack comes first. I don't want them to come first right now, Ethan said rawly. I want to spend every remaining moment with you. Not managing pack politics. But you're alpha and they need you. Ava cupped his face. So go be alpha. I'll be here when you get back. Come with me. The words came out urgent. I don't want you out of my sight, not with Blackridge pushing at our borders. And selfishly I want you near me. Even if I'm working, even if I can't give you my full attention, I just want you there. So Ava spent the evening in the pack's command center, watching Ethan coordinate defenses and manage a crisis with impressive competence. She saw him in a new light, not just as the man she was coming to love, but as the leader his pack depended on. He was strategic, calm under pressure, and clearly respected by everyone who reported to him. Your alpha is impressive, a voice said beside her. Ava turned to find a woman who looked to be in her 50s, with kind eyes and silver threading through her dark hair. Her true name whispered immediately. She who nurtures and protects the young. I'm Rose, the pack's den mother. The woman introduced herself. I take care of the children when their parents are on duty. And I wanted to meet the human who's captured our alpha's heart. I don't know about captured, Ava said. More like accidentally stumbled into. Rose's laugh was warm. However it happened, I'm glad. Ethan's been alone too long, carrying too much. He needs someone who sees him as more than just the alpha. Someone who sees the man. I do see the man, Ava said quietly, watching Ethan across the room. And he's extraordinary. Then fight for him, Rose said seriously. I know about the curse, everyone does by now. Ethan tried to keep it quiet, but pack bonds mean we feel when our alpha is in distress. We've been feeling it for months. She placed a hand on Ava's arm. Whatever you need to do to save him, do it. Because losing him would break this pack in ways we might never recover from. The weight of that responsibility settled on Ava's shoulders. It wasn't just Ethan's life at stake. It was the stability and safety of 76 people who depended on him. No pressure at all. The crisis with Blackridge took hours to resolve. Eventually, after tense negotiations and a show of force that convinced the rival pack Crestwood wasn't weak, the Blackridge warriors withdrew. But it was past midnight by the time Ethan finally finished coordinating with his advisors and could turn his attention back to Ava. "I'm sorry," he said, looking exhausted. "That took way longer than it should have. You kept your pack safe. That's what matters." Ava took his hand. "Come on. You need sleep." They walked back to the cabin in comfortable silence. The red crystal was sitting on the table where they'd left it, not yet showing any signs of turning green. They had less than 18 hours left before the full moon rose. 18 hours to fall completely in love. As they got ready for bed, a routine that had become surprisingly natural over the past 3 days, Ethan said quietly, "I meant what I said earlier. At the waterfall. I'm falling in love with you, Ava." "I know," Ava replied. "I'm falling in love with you too." They climbed into bed, fitting together like puzzle pieces, and Ava felt something shift inside her chest. Not painful but significant, like a door opening or a wall coming down. "Ethan," she whispered, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "If we don't break this curse, if tomorrow night comes and we fail, I need you to know that these 3 days have been the best days of my life." Her voice cracked. "I found you. I found someone who sees me, really sees me and thinks I'm enough. And even if we only get 3 days, it's more than I thought I'd ever have." Ethan's arms tightened around her. "We're not failing. I refuse to accept that we found each other just to be torn apart. But if we do, we won't." His voice was fierce. "Because I love you, Ava. Completely, desperately, without reservation. And I'm choosing to believe that love is enough to break any curse." Ava pulled back to look at him, seeing the truth shining in his eyes. "You really love me. Already. I really do. And before you say it's too fast or impossible, I don't care. Time is arbitrary when it comes to feelings. I know my heart, and my heart is yours." Tears slipped down Ava's cheeks. "I love you too. I think I have for a while. I was just too scared to admit it." They kissed, and it was different from their other kisses. Deeper, more meaningful, weighted with the magnitude of what they just admitted. And as they held each other, pouring every ounce of emotion into that connection, the red crystal on the table began to glow. Not green yet, but pulsing with their combined heartbeats, responding to the love that was growing between them. They had 18 hours to nurture that love until it was strong enough to break the curse. 18 hours to prove that impossible things could happen after all. Chapter 6, Darkest Hour. Ava woke to find Ethan standing at the window, silhouetted against the pre-dawn light. Something was wrong. She could feel it through the bond that had strengthened overnight. "Ethan." She sat up, pulling the blanket around herself. "What's wrong?" He didn't turn around. "The curse is accelerating." Ava's heart dropped. "What do you mean accelerating?" "I can feel it. Like ice spreading through my veins, getting colder, heavier." He finally looked at her and Ava gasped. His skin had taken on a grayish pallor, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. He looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. "The curse is supposed to activate at moonrise tonight. But it's starting early. How is that possible?" "I don't know. Maybe it's reacting to layer 3 being so close to opening. Maybe my grandmother built in a failsafe in case someone got this far." He moved away from the window, and Ava could see him moving stiffly like his joints ached. "Or maybe I'm just running out of time." Ava threw off the blanket and crossed to him, taking his hands. They were cold, unnaturally so. "We need to get Leah. Now." The seer arrived within minutes. Apparently Nathan had already alerted her to Ethan's deteriorating condition. She examined him with growing concern, using various magical implements to assess the curse's progress. "It's definitely accelerating," she confirmed. "The curse is sensing that layer 3 is close to opening, and it's trying to kill him before you can complete it. Your grandmother was thorough. She didn't want any chance of this curse being broken. Can you stop it? Slow it down," Ava demanded, not without risking making it worse. "The curse is tied to Ethan's life force. If I try to interfere directly, I might trigger a complete collapse." Leah's expression was grim. "Your only option is to open layer 3 faster than the curse can claim him." "How fast are we talking?" Ethan asked, his voice rough. "Hours. Maybe less." Leah looked at the red crystal, which was glowing brighter than before, pulsing erratically. "The love you feel for each other is real, but it's not deep enough yet. Not pure enough. You need to reach a level of connection that transcends self-preservation, that makes you willing to sacrifice everything for each other. That's what breaks the final layer. So we need to love each other more than we love ourselves," Ava said slowly. "In the next few hours." "Essentially, yes." Leah placed a hand on Ava's shoulder. "I'm sorry. I know this isn't fair. But curses rarely are." After Leah left, Ava and Ethan looked at each other. "We should get started," Ethan said. "Whatever we need to do." "Wait." Ava grabbed his arm as he tried to move toward the door. "Where are you going?" "To address the pack. They need to know what's happening, need to prepare for." He stopped, but his meaning was clear. "For his death." for the chaos that would follow. No, Ava said firmly. Nathan can handle the pack. You're staying here with me. Ava, I have responsibilities. And right now your primary responsibility is staying alive long enough to break this curse. She pulled him toward the couch. Sit. We're going to talk about what pure of heart love means, and we're going to figure out how to get there. Ethan sat, looking exhausted and defeated in a way that broke Ava's heart. What if we can't? What if 3 days isn't enough time to build the kind of love that breaks curses? Then we fail trying, not because we gave up. Ava knelt in front of him, taking both his hands. Ethan, look at me. We're going to do this. But I need you to fight. Don't start planning your funeral when we still have time. I'm scared, Ethan admitted, his voice breaking. I'm terrified, Ava. Not just of dying but of leaving you. Of knowing you for 3 days and then never seeing you again. Of missing out on everything we could have been. Me too, Ava whispered. I'm scared too. But we're scared together, and that has to count for something. They spent the next hour talking about fear and hope, and the future they wanted to build. Ethan described the life he imagined. Running through the forest with Ava beside him in wolf form. Teaching their children to track and hunt. Growing old together surrounded by pack and family. Ava shared her dreams too. The bookshop expanding to include magical texts for the supernatural community. Lazy Sunday mornings in bed with Ethan. Being part of something bigger than herself. I want decades with you, Ethan said. Centuries if we're lucky. I want to know every version of you. 26-year-old Ava, 50-year-old Ava, 100-year-old Ava. I want to be there for all of it. Then stay, Ava pleaded. Stay with me. Fight this curse. Fight for us. I'm trying. But Ava. He looked at her with anguished eyes. If I don't make it, I need you to promise me something. No. We're not doing this. We're not saying goodbye. Please. His hand cupped her face. Let me say this just in case. I need you to promise that you'll stay with the pack. They'll need help with the transition and you're smart and capable and they already respect you. Nathan will need support. And the pack, they need someone who can see them clearly. Who can hear their true names and help them understand themselves. Ethan, stop. Promise me you won't leave. Promise me you'll build a life here even if I'm not in it. His voice was desperate. Promise me you'll find happiness again eventually. Even if it's with someone else. Because Ava, you deserve happiness. You deserve everything. And I can't die knowing you'll be alone. Ava was crying now, tears streaming down her face. I don't want anyone else. I want you. Only you. And I want you. God, I want you so much. He pulled her into his lap, holding her as she sobbed. But if fate has other plans, fate can go to hell, Ava said fiercely. I'm not losing you. I refuse. They held each other as morning light strengthened outside. As the curse continued to drain Ethan's vitality. As the red crystal pulsed with increasing urgency. And somewhere in that desperate embrace, Ava felt something click into place. This was love. Not the gentle, growing to know you kind she'd imagined before. But fierce, desperate, willing to burn the world down for each other love. The kind that made her willing to do anything, sacrifice anything to keep him alive. I would die for you, she whispered against his chest. If it meant breaking this curse, if it meant you'd live, I'd give my life without hesitation. Ethan's arms tightened. Don't say that. Don't even think it. But it's true. That's what pure of heart means, isn't it? Loving someone more than you love yourself. Being willing to sacrifice everything for them. She pulled back to look at him. I love you that much, Ethan. Completely. Selflessly. Pure of heart. I love you the same way, Ethan said, his voice rough with emotion. I'd trade my life for yours in a heartbeat. I'd face down any threat, fight any enemy, break any curse to keep you safe. The red crystal on the table suddenly flared brilliant white, pulsing so brightly it hurt to look at. And Ava felt something inside her chest crack open. Not painful but profound. Like a seal breaking, like a dam bursting. Like the universe realigning around a single truth. She loved Ethan Cole. Completely, desperately, with every fiber of her being. And in that moment of absolute clarity, she heard it. His true name. It whispered through her consciousness like a revelation. Like a prayer. Like a key turning in a lock. Not a word exactly, but a concept, an essence, an identity that was uniquely, perfectly him. Strength born of sacrifice who protects with his last breath. Oh my God, Ava breathed. I can hear it. Ethan, I can hear your true name. Ethan's eyes went wide. You can? Really? Yes. She stopped, sudden fear gripping her. But we still have hours until moonrise. If I say it now, is it too early? Will the curse still activate? Leah burst through the door as if summoned, and maybe she had been, sensing the shift in the curse's energy. Don't wait, she said urgently. The curse is accelerating faster than I predicted. If you wait for moonrise, Ethan will already be dead. You need to speak his name now. while he still has enough life force for the magic to take hold. But the curse said before the full moon rises, Ava protested. What if saying it early invalidates the breaking? The curse said before moonrise because Morgana assumed no one would get this far. She didn't account for someone breaking all 3 layers with hours to spare. Leah grabbed Ava's shoulders. Trust me. Speak his name now. The layer is open, the love is true, the conditions are met. All you have to do is whisper his true name with intention and love, and the curse will break. Ava looked at Ethan, seeing death creeping across his features, seeing the life draining from his eyes. They were out of time. Okay, she said. Okay, I'll do it. Wait. Ethan grabbed her hand, his grip weak. What if it doesn't work? What if I got it wrong, and saying the name just makes me die faster? Then we die knowing we tried, Ava said firmly. But I don't believe that's what happens. I believe in us, Ethan. I believe in this love we've built. And I believe your grandmother, for all her cruelty, left a way out. She just made it nearly impossible, betting no one would love you enough to get this far. But you do, Ethan said softly. You love me enough. I love you more than enough. Ava leaned close, her forehead pressing against his. I'm going to say your name now. And when I do, when the curse breaks, you're going to live. And then we're going to have those decades, those centuries. We're going to build the life we've been dreaming about. Understood? Understood, Ethan whispered. Ava closed her eyes, focusing every ounce of her being on the name she'd heard, on the love she felt, on the desperate need for him to survive. She thought about pure of heart, about loving without agenda, without self-interest, with only the desire for his happiness and safety. And she whispered his true name. Not aloud. True names couldn't be spoken with mere words. She had to project it with her gift, with her power, with the part of her that heard the essence of things. She poured every ounce of love and hope and desperate faith into that name, sending it directly to Ethan's soul. Strength born of sacrifice who protects with his last breath. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Ethan gasped, his body going rigid. The red crystal exploded into brilliant green light that flooded the room. And Ava felt the curse shatter. Not just break, but completely disintegrate. Every layer of malicious magic unraveling at once. Ethan collapsed against her, and Ava caught him, terror spiking through her. Ethan? Ethan? I'm okay, he managed, his voice stronger than it had been moments before. I'm okay, I can feel it, the curse is gone. Ava, you did it. You saved me. He looked up at her and Ava could see color returning to his skin, life flowing back into his eyes. The gray pallor was fading, the death grip of the curse loosening its hold. The curse is broken, Leah confirmed, her voice filled with wonder. Completely, permanently broken. I can't sense any trace of it left. Ava, you did what dozens of witches and curse breakers couldn't do. You saved him. Ava was shaking, adrenaline and relief making her lightheaded. Is he really okay? It's really gone. It's really gone, Ethan said, sitting up and pulling her into a fierce embrace. You saved my life, Ava. You broke an impossible curse with 3 days and the power of love. You're incredible. We're incredible, Ava corrected. We did this together. They held each other as Leah quietly left, giving them privacy. Outside, Ava could hear celebrations starting. The pack must have felt the curse break through their bonds with Ethan, must know their alpha had been saved. So what now? Ava finally asked. The curse is broken, you're going to live. Where do we go from here? Ethan pulled back to look at her, his expression intense. I meant everything I said. About wanting decades with you, centuries. About building a life together. And I know 3 days is fast, I know you might want time to think. I don't need time, Ava interrupted. I know what I want, Ethan. I want you. I want the pack. I want to stay here and build something beautiful from this impossible thing we've done. You're sure? Because there's no pressure. I'm sure. Ava smiled through her tears. I love you. I choose you. I choose this life. And yes, it's fast and crazy and probably slightly insane. But when has anything about us been normal? Ethan laughed. A genuine joyful sound that made Ava's heart soar. Never. We've been impossible from the start. Then let's keep being impossible, Ava said. Let's build an impossible life together. They kissed and it was different from every other kiss they'd shared. This one tasted like relief and joy and the promise of a future they'd almost lost. This one was the beginning of forever. When they finally emerged from the cabin, the entire pack was waiting. And the celebration that erupted was unlike anything Ava had ever experienced. Pure joy and relief expressed through howls and laughter and pack members who pulled both her and Ethan into enthusiastic hugs. You did it, Nathan said, gripping Ethan's shoulder. You actually broke the curse. We did it, Ethan corrected, pulling Ava close. Ava and I together. I couldn't have done it without her. Rose approached, tears streaming down her face, and pulled Ava into a motherly embrace. Thank you for saving our alpha. Thank you for fighting for him. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, Ava said honestly. The celebration continued through the day, but as evening approached and the full moon began to rise, Ethan pulled Ava away from the crowd. Come with me, he said. There's something I want to show you. He led her to the cliff overlook where he told her he'd decided to become Alpha. The moon was just cresting the horizon, huge and perfect and beautiful. This is the moon that was supposed to kill me, Ethan said quietly. Instead, I'm standing here with you, alive and free and more grateful than I've ever been. Poetic, Ava teased gently, leaning against him. I'm serious. This moment, watching this moon rise with you beside me, it's everything I thought I'd lost. Everything I'd given up hoping for. He turned to face her, taking both her hands. Ava Chen, will you stay? Not just for tonight or next week, but permanently. Will you make this your home? Make the pack your family. Make me your mate in every way that matters. Are you asking me to marry you? Ava's heart was pounding. I'm asking you to bond with me. In werewolf culture, it's even more permanent than marriage. It's a magical and spiritual binding that ties our lives together. Ethan's expression was vulnerable. I know it's fast, I know you might want time. Yes, Ava interrupted. Yes, I'll bond with you. Yes, I'll stay. Yes to all of it. Ethan's smile was brilliant as the moon overhead. Really? Really? We broke an impossible curse in 3 days, Ethan. After that, forever doesn't seem so scary. As the full moon rose completely, bathing them in silver light, Ethan kissed her. And Ava felt the mate bond snap fully into place, no longer growing but complete. Solid. Unbreakable. They'd beaten death, broken a curse and found love in the unlikeliest circumstances. Now they just had to build a life from it. Chapter 7, The Turning Point. The week following the curse breaking was a whirlwind. Ava moved her essentials to pack territory while figuring out what to do with her bookshop, eventually deciding to keep it open with a manager, using it as a bridge between the human and supernatural worlds. She met every pack member properly, learned pack customs and rituals, and began to understand the complex web of relationships that bound the community together. And she fell more in love with Ethan every day. You're smiling, Ethan observed one morning as they had breakfast on the porch of their cabin. Ava had officially moved in, much to the pack's delight. What are you thinking about? How different my life is now compared to 2 weeks ago, Ava admitted. 2 weeks ago, I was alone in a bookshop, convinced I'd never find where I belonged. Now I'm planning a bonding ceremony with a werewolf alpha, and trying to figure out pack politics. Having regrets? Ethan asked, though his tone was light. Not even one. Ava reached across the table to take his hand. Though I'll admit the bonding ceremony is intimidating. Leah said the whole pack will be there. They will. It's a big deal. The alpha taking a mate is cause for major celebration. Ethan's thumb traced patterns on her palm. But if it's too much, if you want something smaller. No, I want the pack there. They're family now. Ava smiled. Besides, Rose has been planning this for days. I think she'd riot if we tried to scale it down. As if summoned, Nathan appeared on the path to their cabin. Alpha, we have a situation. Ethan's relaxed demeanor shifted immediately to alertness. What kind of situation? The council is here. They want to meet with you and Ava. Something about the curse breaking. Nathan's expression was troubled. They have a lot of questions. The supernatural council turned out to be 4 stern individuals who radiated power and authority. They sat in Ethan's office in the main lodge, studying both him and Ava with unsettling intensity. Alpha Cole, the head counselor, a woman named Magistrate Soren, began. We've received reports of an unprecedented curse breaking, a death curse that had stumped experts for 20 years, broken by a human with the gift of true names. We'd like to understand how this was possible. With respect, Magistrate, I'm not sure what you're asking, Ethan said carefully. The curse had specific breaking conditions. Ava met those conditions. The curse broke. Yes, but the conditions themselves were supposedly impossible. No one has successfully used true name magic to break a death curse in over 500 years. Soren's eyes fixed on Ava. Miss Chan, you're not formally trained in magic, correct? Correct, Ava confirmed. I've had the gift of hearing true names my entire life, but I never studied magic formally. I didn't even know it was magic until recently. Fascinating. And you were able to perceive Alpha Cole's hidden true name despite it being locked behind layers of complex spell work. Eventually, yes. Once we opened the 3 layers of the curse. Ava explained the process, the physical closeness, the emotional vulnerability, the love that had been required. The counselors exchanged meaningful looks. This presents an interesting opportunity, another counselor said. A man who introduced himself as Counselor Thorne. Miss Chun, your gift is extraordinarily rare. Combined with your success in breaking this curse, you've proven you have skills the supernatural community desperately needs. We'd like to offer you a position. A position? Ava repeated cautiously. As a council consultant. There are dozens of curses, binding spells, and magical afflictions that might be resolved with true name magic. Curses that have destroyed lives, torn apart families, caused immeasurable suffering. Soren leaned forward. You could help these people, Miss Chan. You could break curses that have been deemed unbreakable. Ava felt Ethan tense beside her. With respect, Magistrate, Ava is about to bond with me and become part of this pack. She has commitments here. Which we would work around, of course. The position would be flexible. Consultations as needed, with appropriate compensation. Soren's smile didn't reach her eyes. Though I should mention refusing to help those in need when you have the ability to do so. That does raise certain ethical questions. Are you threatening her? Ethan's voice had gone cold. Not at all. Merely pointing out that great power comes with great responsibility. Soren stood. We'll give you time to discuss this. But Miss Chun, I hope you'll consider the opportunity carefully. You could change lives. Save lives. Make a real difference in the supernatural world. After the council left, Ava and Ethan sat in tense silence. They're trying to manipulate you, Ethan finally said. Make you feel guilty if you don't help them. But they're not wrong, Ava said quietly. If I can break curses, if I can help people who are suffering, shouldn't I? How can I say no to that? Because they'll use you up, Ethan said flatly. You think it'll be occasional consultations, but it won't be. It'll be constant demands, crisis after crisis, with no consideration for your well-being or your life here. The council takes and takes Ava. They don't care about individuals. But the people with curses aren't your responsibility. Ethan grabbed her hands. Ava, you saved me because we had a mate bond, because we built something real and powerful together. You can't replicate that with strangers. You can't fall in love with every cursed person who needs help. Maybe not love, but caring? Compassion. Ava pulled her hands back. Ethan, I spent my whole life feeling powerless. Now I find out I have this gift, this ability to help people. And you want me to just ignore it? I want you to protect yourself. To not let the council guilt you into becoming their curse-breaking workhorse. Ethan's expression was anguished. I almost lost you once. I won't lose you to the council's endless demands. You won't lose me at all, Ava said firmly. But I need to think about this. Really think about what I want to do with this gift, with this life. The tension between them lingered for days. Ethan was supportive but clearly worried every time Ava brought up the council's offer. And Ava found herself torn. Part of her wanted to say no, to focus on her life with Ethan and the pack. But another part wondered if she was being selfish, if she had a moral obligation to help others when she could. The issue came to a head 3 days before their bonding ceremony. Ava received a message from the council. A photograph of a young girl, maybe 9 years old, with a curse mark visible on her arm. The accompanying text was brief. Her name is Emma. She has 6 months to live unless someone can break the name curse binding her. You're her only hope. Ava stared at the photo, at the child's frightened eyes, and felt her heart break. They sent you a picture of a kid? Nathan said when Ava showed it to him. She'd gone to the Beta's house specifically to talk to someone who wasn't Ethan. That's low, even for the council. But she's real, isn't she? A real child who needs help. Ava looked at Nathan desperately. How can I ignore that? You probably can't, Nathan admitted. Because you're a good person and good people don't turn away from children in need. But Ava, he sighed heavily. Ethan's not wrong to be worried. The council will use this against you. 1 child becomes 10, becomes 100. Where do you draw the line? I don't know, Ava whispered. But I have to try to help this one at least. Don't I? Nathan was quiet for a long moment. What if you set boundaries? Tell the council you'll consult on this one case as a trial. But you're not committing to anything beyond that. See how it goes, see if you can actually help without the mate bond element. If you can, maybe you take on more cases with clear limits, no more than 1 a month or 1 every few months, whatever you can handle without burning out. That could work, Ava said slowly. A trial case with strict boundaries. But you need to talk to Ethan. Really talk to him, make him understand why this matters to you. Because right now he's operating from fear of losing you, fear of the council exploiting you. Help him see that you're not choosing this over him. You're choosing to do both. Ava found Ethan at the training grounds, working with some of the younger pack members on defensive techniques. She watched for a while, seeing him in his element, patient, encouraging, pushing them to be better while making sure they felt supported. When the session ended, Ava approached. Can we talk? About the council, Ethan guessed, his expression guarded. About us. About what I need from this life we're building. Ava took his hand. Walk with me. They walked to their favorite spot, the waterfall where they'd spent time during the curse breaking. Ava explained her conversation with Nathan, her thoughts about boundaries and trial cases. I'm not choosing the council over you, she said firmly. I'm choosing to use this gift I have to help people when I can, within reasonable limits that protect my life here with you and the pack. But Ethan, I need you to trust me. Trust that I won't let them exploit me. That I know my own limits. Ethan was quiet for a long time, staring at the water. I'm scared, he finally admitted. Scared that you'll save everyone else and have nothing left for me. Scared that the council will put you in danger. That someone with a curse will hurt you. That I'll lose you after fighting so hard to keep you. Those are valid fears, Ava said gently. But you can't protect me from everything. And more than that, you can't ask me to be less than I am to make you feel safer. I have this gift, Ethan. It's part of who I am. Asking me not to use it is like asking me not to breathe. I know. Ethan pulled her close. I know, and I'm sorry. You're right, I was operating from fear, not trust. And you deserve my trust, Ava. You've earned it a dozen times over. So we try this? One case, strict boundaries, see how it goes. We try this, Ethan agreed. But promise me, if it gets too much, if the council pushes too hard, if you feel overwhelmed, you tell me. We handle it together. I promise. Ava kissed him. Together. Always together. The decision made, Ava sent a message to the council agreeing to consult on Emma's case. But she included strict terms. She would evaluate the curse and provide recommendations. But she was making no promises about breaking it. She would work from Crestwood Pact territory, not travel to the council. And this was a one-time consultation, not a commitment to future work. To her surprise, the council agreed without argument. They're playing the long game, Leah observed when Ava told her about the arrangement. They know if you successfully help this child, you'll be more likely to take on future cases. They're betting on your compassion. Probably, Ava admitted. But at least I set boundaries. That's something. It is. And Ava, I'm proud of you. For standing up for what you need. For not letting either Ethan or the council dictate your choices. That takes strength. 3 days later, on the night of the full moon, exactly 1 month after Ava and Ethan had met, the bonding ceremony took place. The entire pack gathered in the clearing where Ethan transformed during the ritual that had started everything. Ava wore a dress Rose had helped her choose. Simple white linen that moved like water, decorated with embroidered silver moons. Ethan wore traditional pack formal wear, dark pants and a white shirt, with a silver chain marking his status as alpha. Leah officiated, speaking words in the old language about bonds and destiny, and two souls becoming one. Ava and Ethan exchanged vows. Not the traditional human words, but promises specific to them. I vow to protect you, Ethan said, his voice carrying across the clearing. Not by limiting you, but by standing beside you as you face whatever challenges come. I vow to trust you, to support your gifts, to believe in your strength. I vow to love you completely, from this moment until the stars burn out. I vow to choose you, Ava replied. Every day in every way that matters. I vow to build a life with you that honors both of us. Your duty to the pack and my calling to help others. I vow to love you fiercely, to stand with you against anything, to be your partner in all things. Leah bound their wrists together with a silver cord, and Ava felt the mate bond flare brilliant gold. No longer just a connection but a complete fusion of souls. She could feel Ethan's emotions as clearly as her own, could sense his joy and love and absolute certainty. They were bound, permanently, irrevocably, and as the pack held their approval and celebration, as Ethan pulled her into a kiss that tasted like forever, Ava knew she'd made the right choice. All her choices to help him to stay to build this impossible life had led her here. To home. To family. To love. To exactly where she was always meant to be. Chapter 8. Climactic Resolution. Emma arrived at Crestwood territory 2 weeks after the bonding ceremony, accompanied by her mother and a council representative. Ava felt her heart clench at the sight of the small girl, thin, pale, with the same gray cast to her skin that Ethan had developed when his curse was accelerating. Hello, Emma, Ava said gently, crouching to be at eye level with the child. I'm Ava. I'm going to try to help you. Mama says you broke a curse, Emma said, her voice small. Can you break mine? I'm going to try my very best, Ava promised. Over the next few days, Ava worked with Leah to analyze Emma's curse. It was similar in structure to Ethan's. A name-based binding that would kill the child when she turned 10. But unlike Ethan's curse, this one hadn't been placed by a vengeful family member. It had been an accident. Emma had touched a cursed object in a supernatural market, and the curse had transferred to her. The good news, Leah explained, is that this curse wasn't specifically designed for Emma. It's more generic, which means it might be easier to break. The bad news is that it's still tied to her true name, and breaking it will require the same level of emotional connection you had with Ethan. But I'm not in love with a 9-year-old, Ava pointed out. And there's definitely no mate bond. No, but there are other kinds of love. Protective love, the kind a parent feels for a child. Compassionate love, the desire to end suffering. Leah studied Emma through the window. The girl was playing with some of the pack children, laughing despite her illness. You need to care about her, Ava. Really care. Enough that her well-being matters as much as your own. Shouldn't have been hard. Emma was sweet, brave despite her fear and heartbreakingly young. But as the days passed and Ava worked on connecting with the child, she realized the truth. She did care about Emma, but not deeply enough. Not with the pure, selfless love that had broken Ethan's curse. I'm failing, Ava admitted to Ethan one night, frustration and guilt warring in her chest. I can feel the curse layers, I can sense what needs to happen, but I can't get there emotionally. It's not the same as it was with you. Because you didn't have time to build walls with me, Ethan said thoughtfully. We met, and within hours we were trapped in life or death intensity. There was no time for caution or emotional protection. We had to go all in immediately. But with Emma I have time. Which means my instinct to protect myself kicks in. I'm trying to care while also maintaining distance because I'm scared of getting hurt. Ava buried her face in her hands. What kind of person am I? A child is dying. And I'm worried about emotional self-preservation. A normal person, Ethan said firmly. Ava, what you did with me, opening yourself completely, loving without reservation after 3 days, that's not normal. It was possible because of the mate bond, because fate had aligned us. You can't expect to replicate that with everyone who needs help. Then what do I do? Let Emma die because I can't love her enough. Ethan pulled her close. No. You figure out another way. The curse required pure of heart love to break mine because I was the alpha, because the curse was specifically designed by someone who knew me intimately. But Emma's curse? It's generic accidental. Maybe it doesn't need the same level of emotional intensity. Maybe there's another approach. Ava sat up straight. You're right. I've been assuming all name curses work the same way, but they don't. Each one is unique. Built by different people with different intentions. She grabbed Ethan's face and kissed him soundly. You're brilliant. I need to talk to Leah. Now. Working with Leah and Emma's mother, Ava discovered that the generic curse had a loophole Ethan's hadn't. It could be transferred. If someone willingly took on the curse in Emma's place, the child would be freed. But whoever takes it will die, Emma's mother said, her voice breaking. I'll do it. I'll take the curse. No, Ava interrupted. There's another way. If we transfer the curse to someone who's already dying, someone who has days left anyway, the curse won't have time to fully activate. It'll effectively die with them. They found a volunteer in the pack. An elderly wolf named Marcus who was dying of natural causes, who had weeks at most to live. When Ava explained the situation, he agreed immediately. Let me do something meaningful with my death, he said. Let me save a child. That's a legacy worth leaving. The transfer ritual was complex, requiring Ava to use her true name gift in a way she never had before. She had to hear not just Emma's true name, but the curse's name. Its essential identity as a magical construct. And then redirect it, guide it from one host to another. Are you sure you can do this? Leah asked as they prepared for the ritual. No, Ava admitted. But I'm going to try anyway. The ritual took place at midnight, under a waning moon. Emma lay in the center of a circle, with Marcus on one side and Ava on the other. Leah chanted in the old language while Ava focused every ounce of her gift on perceiving the curse's true nature. And there it was, a twisted, hungry thing with a name that tasted like decay and endings. Life stealer that feeds on youth. I can see it, Ava breathed. I can hear its name. Then call it, Leah instructed. Call it by its true name and command it to transfer. Ava reached out with her gift, speaking directly to the curse's essence. Life stealer that feeds on youth, I name you and bind you. Leave this child and take the willing host instead. The curse resisted. It had been feeding on Emma for months, had put down roots in her young life force. Didn't want to move. But Ava was stronger. She'd broken an impossible death curse through love. She'd opened her gift in ways she'd never imagined. And she was done letting magical constructs hurt innocent people. Move, she commanded with every ounce of authority she possessed. The curse writhed, fought, then suddenly released Emma and slammed into Marcus. The old wolf gasped but held steady, his aged body absorbing the malicious magic with the grace of someone who'd accepted his fate. It's done, Leah confirmed, examining Emma with magical senses. The curse is completely transferred. Emma's free. Emma's mother sobbed with relief, gathering her daughter into her arms. And Emma, color was already returning to her skin, the gray cast fading as her young body recognized it was no longer dying. Thank you, Emma said, looking at Ava with wide, grateful eyes. You saved me. We all saved you, Ava corrected, gesturing to Marcus, to Leah, to everyone who'd helped. That's what family does. Marcus lived for another 3 weeks. The curse tried to activate, to claim him, but his body was already shutting down naturally. In the end he died peacefully, surrounded by pack, with the satisfaction of knowing his final act had saved a child's life. He was a hero, Ethan said at Marcus's funeral. He chose to give meaning to his death, to save an innocent. That's the mark of true pack, sacrificing for those who can't protect themselves. After the funeral, after Emma and her mother had returned home with tearful thanks and promises to visit, Ava sat with Ethan at their waterfall. "I did it," she said quietly. "I broke a curse without the mate bond, without romantic love. I found another way." "You did," Ethan agreed. "And the council is going to be very interested in that. They're going to want you to do more cases." "I know. And I will when I can. But on my terms, with my boundaries." Ava leaned against him. "One case every few months. Clear limits. And only if there's a solution that doesn't require me to fall in love with every cursed person I meet." "That seems reasonable." Ethan pressed a kiss to her temple. "I'm proud of you. For finding your way with this gift. For setting boundaries. For saving that little girl." "Couldn't have done it without you," Ava said. "Without the pack, without Leah and Marcus and everyone who helped. That's the real lesson here. Breaking curses isn't about one person being powerful enough. It's about community, about people working together toward a common goal." Over the following months, Ava consulted on 3 more curse cases for the council. 2 she was able to help. One through a transfer ritual similar to Emma's. Another by finding a loophole in the curse's wording. The third was beyond her abilities and she had to admit defeat, which broke her heart but taught her an important lesson. She couldn't save everyone. "And that's okay," Ethan assured her after that difficult case. "You're not responsible for every cursed person in the world, Ava. You help when you can, you do your best, and you accept that sometimes your best isn't enough. That's all anyone can ask." Meanwhile, life in the pack settled into a comfortable rhythm. Ava expanded her bookshop's inventory to include supernatural texts, making it a gathering place for both human and supernatural customers. She trained with pack members to build her physical strength and learned the basics of pack politics. And every night, she came home to Ethan, to the cabin they'd made their own, to a life richer and fuller than she'd ever imagined. "Happy?" Ethan asked one evening as they sat on their porch watching the sunset. "Ridiculously happy," Ava confirmed. "Though I never thought I'd say that about living in a werewolf compound and consulting on death curses. Life's funny that way." Ethan's arm came around her shoulders. "You know what I'm grateful for?" "What?" "That my grandmother's curse brought you into my life. I spent 20 years cursing her for what she did to me, hating the burden she placed on me. But if she hadn't, I never would have gone searching for a curse breaker. Never would have walked into your bookshop. Never would have found you. So you're saying we should thank her?" Ava asked, amused. "I'm saying that sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things in our lives. Her curse almost killed me, but it also gave me you. And I'd face down 1,000 curses if it meant ending up here, with you in this life we've built." Ava turned to kiss him, pouring all her love and gratitude into it. "I love you, Ethan Cole. My mate, my partner, my home. And I love you, Ava Chen. My curse breaker, my salvation, my forever." As the sun set and the first stars appeared, Ava felt complete peace. The girl who'd bounced through foster homes, who'd never known where she belonged, had found her place at last. In a pack. With a mate. Using a gift she'd once thought was a burden to help others. Life wasn't perfect. There were still challenges, still curses to break, still pack politics to navigate. But she faced it all with Ethan beside her, with a community that had become family, with purpose and love and the certain knowledge that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Some stories ended with happily ever after. This one was just beginning. Chapter 9. Satisfying conclusion. 1 year later, Ava stood in front of the mirror in her and Ethan's cabin, adjusting the silver pendant Leah had given her. A protection charm, the seer had said, for what comes next. Her hand drifted unconsciously to her still flat stomach, where a tiny life was just beginning to grow. She and Ethan had found out 2 weeks ago. A baby, half human, half werewolf, and according to Leah's delighted proclamation, likely to inherit both Ava's true name gift and Ethan's alpha strength. "You look beautiful," Ethan said from the doorway, and Ava turned to find him watching her with such love it took her breath away even after a year together. "I look nervous," Ava corrected. "The council's investigator is arriving today for the annual review of my consulting work. What if they try to increase my caseload? What if they push for more commitment? Then we remind them of your boundaries and tell them no." Ethan crossed to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You've consulted on 8 cases this year. You've saved 5 lives and improved conditions for 3 others. That's more than any cursebreaker has accomplished in a decade. If they're not satisfied with that, it's their problem, not yours. When did you get so good at boundaries?" Ava teased. "I learned from my very stubborn, very wonderful mate." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "Speaking of which, should we tell the pack about the baby today? Or wait a bit longer?" "Today," Ava decided. "I want to share the joy with them. Besides, Rose will figure it out soon anyway. That woman has supernatural pregnancy radar." The pack meeting that evening was well attended, as always. Ava had come to love these gatherings, The way pack members shared news and concerns, supported each other through difficulties, celebrated successes together. It was the family she'd always wanted, multiplied by 76. Before we begin official business, Ethan announced, his hand finding Ava's. Ava and I have something to share. We're having a baby. The reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Cheers, congratulations, pack members rushing forward to offer well wishes and advice. Rose was crying happy tears, Nathan was grinning like a fool, and Leah looked insufferably smug about having predicted this months ago. An alpha heir, one of the elders said with satisfaction. The bloodline continues. More than that, Ava corrected gently. A child who'll be part of this pack, this family. Not defined by their bloodline, but by who they choose to become. The elder smiled. Well said, Luna. Well said. After the meeting, as the celebrations continued, the council investigator arrived. A woman named Helena who'd been reviewing Ava's work all year. Miss Chan, or should I say Mrs. Cole? Helena began. Ava is fine, Ava replied, settling into a chair across from the investigator while Ethan stood supportively behind her. What can I do for you? I've completed my review of your consultation work. Your success rate is impressive, but your case volume is limited. Helena pulled out a tablet showing statistics. In a year you've taken only 8 cases. The council believes you could handle significantly more. The council would be wrong, Ava said pleasantly. 8 cases is what I can manage while maintaining my responsibilities here, to my pack, my bookshop, and now my growing family without burning out. Quality over quantity, Helena. But there are dozens of people who need help. And I'm one person with one gift. I'm not the solution to every curse in the world. Ava's voice was firm but kind. I appreciate the council's interest in my work, but my boundaries are non-negotiable. 8 to 10 cases per year, carefully selected, is my limit. Helena's expression suggested she'd expected this response. The council anticipated you might say that. So they've proposed an alternative. What if you trained others? There are people with latent true name abilities who've never developed them. You could teach them, create a program for curse-breaking specialists. Ava paused. That was actually not a bad idea. A training program? Based here at Crestwood under your direction. You develop curriculum, teach students, build a network of curse-breakers who could help people across the country. Helena leaned forward. It would multiply your impact without requiring you to take on more cases personally. Ava looked up at Ethan, who raised his eyebrows in a your call expression. I'd need time to develop the program, Ava said slowly. Especially with a baby coming. Maybe start with 1 or 2 students, see how it goes. That seems reasonable, Helena agreed. The council will provide funding and resources. All we ask is that you consider this seriously. After Helena left, Ava and Ethan walked through pack territory under the stars. A training program, Ava said thoughtfully. That could actually work. Pass on what I've learned, help others develop their gifts. Build something that outlasts me. You like the idea, Ethan observed. I do. Though I'm terrified of teaching. What if I'm bad at it? What if I can't explain how the gift works? You'll figure it out. You always do. Ethan pulled her close. And if you decide it's too much, you can always say no. The council doesn't get to dictate your life. Ava. I know. But I think I want to try this. Not right away, after the baby, maybe when they're 6 months old. But eventually, yes. I want to help build this. They stopped at their special waterfall. The place where so much of their relationship had developed during those intense 3 days. Remember when we first came here? Ava asked. During the curse breaking? I was so scared. Scared of failing. Scared of losing you. Scared of everything. And now? Now I'm still scared sometimes. But it's different. I'm not scared of losing you anymore. Our bond is too strong for that. I'm scared of normal things. Being a good mother. Balancing my responsibilities. Teaching students effectively. She smiled. Fear of failing but in mundane ways. Not life or death curse ways. I'd say that's progress. Ethan's hand rested on her stomach, protective and tender. Our kid is lucky. They're going to have you as a mother, brave, brilliant, stubborn as hell. They're going to grow up knowing they can do impossible things because their mom broke an unbreakable curse in 3 days. Our kid is lucky because they'll have you as a father, Ava corrected. Patient, strong, willing to trust your mate even when you're scared. They'll grow up knowing what real partnership looks like. They stood together in comfortable silence, listening to the waterfall, to the night sounds of the forest, to the distant sounds of pack members going about their evening routines. I have something for you, Ethan said suddenly. He pulled out a small wrapped package. I was going to wait for our 1-year bonding anniversary next month, but this seems like the right moment. Ava unwrapped it to find a leather-bound journal. Its cover embossed with her name in silver. It's beautiful, but what is it for? Your true name, Ethan explained. You said you've never heard your own true name, but I have. I've known it since we bonded, since our souls merged. And with your permission, I'd like to tell you what it is. Ava's breath caught. You can hear my true name? Crystal clear. It's one of the benefits of mate bonds. We can perceive each other in ways no one else can. His expression was tender. Do you want to know? Yes, Ava whispered. Please. Ethan took her hands, his eyes locked on hers. And he spoke, projecting her true name the way she projected his to break the curse. Hopebringer, who transforms impossibility into love. The name resonated through Ava's entire being, settling into place like a key in a lock. It was perfect. It was her. And hearing it, understanding what she was at her core, made tears stream down her face. That's who you are, Ethan said softly. That's who you've always been. You take impossible situations, cursed alphas, dying children, broken systems, and you transform them through love and determination and sheer stubborn hope. You're extraordinary, Ava. Never doubt that. I love you, Ava managed through her tears. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me, for loving me, for giving me this gift. Thank you for breaking my curse and choosing to stay. Ethan pulled her close. Thank you for building this life with me, for being brave enough to love a werewolf alpha with a death sentence, for believing in impossible things. They held each other as the moon rose, not full tonight, just a gentle crescent, but still beautiful. And Ava thought about how far she'd come in just over a year. From a lonely human in a bookshop to a bonded Luna with a pack family. From someone who'd never heard her own true name to someone who now knew exactly who she was. From a girl who'd bounced through foster homes with no place to belong to a woman who'd found her forever home. All because one desperate alpha had walked into her bookshop and asked for help breaking a curse. All because she'd been brave enough to try. What are you thinking? Ethan asked, his chin resting on top of her head. That I'm grateful. For all of it, the curse, the impossible timeline, the terrifying choices. Because they led me here, to you, to this life. And I wouldn't change a single moment. Not even the parts where you thought I was going to die. Especially not those parts. Because they taught me how strong I am. How much I'm capable of when I love someone enough. Ava tilted her head back to look at him. And they gave us this story. Our ridiculous, impossible, beautiful story. The Cursebreaker and the Cursed Alpha, Ethan said with a smile. Breaking impossible curses and building an impossible life together. I like impossible, Ava decided. Impossible suits us. As they walked back to their cabin hand in hand, Ava felt complete peace. The future stretched ahead with all its challenges and joys. A baby to raise, students to teach, curses to break, a pack to protect, a life to build. But she'd face it all with Ethan beside her, with a family that had chosen her as much as she'd chosen them, with a gift that helped others and a purpose that fulfilled her. Some people spent their whole lives searching for where they belonged. Ava had found it in 3 days. And every day since had been proof that impossible things were possible after all. All you had to do was whisper the right name before the full moon rose. And love fiercely enough to transform curse into blessing. Endings into beginnings, fear into hope. That was the real magic. Not in the curses or the breaking, but in the love that made the impossible possible. And in the hope that brought light into darkness. Again and again and again. Then. Hey everyone. Wow, what a journey that was. I hope you loved Ava and Ethan's story as much as I loved bringing it to you. If you enjoyed this tale, please drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. Was it the curse breaking? The bonding ceremony? Little Emma's rescue? I want to hear what resonated with you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you never miss another story. I've got so many more tales coming your way. Stories of love and magic, of impossible choices and happy endings, of ordinary people discovering they're capable of extraordinary things. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for being part of this community. I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, sometimes the most impossible things are the ones most worth fighting for. Love you all.